Welcome to episode 77 of Cougs on Cougs. We are officially 1 week out from our Portland State preview. We're 1 week out from being 1 week out.
Less than 2 weeks to game day.
Basically, I'm just trying to say in terms that make it seem even closer than it actually is.
I appreciate that.
11 days today, right?
11 days. 12? Yeah, 11 days
11
today.
days,
Yesterday
yep.
was Tanner Mingham Day, right? So.
Yes.
All right, let's do our quote of the week.
Yep.
Beginning, and this comes from one of our favorite players on this year's team, Mo Longy. And it is quite simply, I love football.
I feel like we're just at that point where we're just done with nonsense and superfluous words. Just, I love football. Give us football.
Yeah.
But I loved this quote came from Benjamin Criddle after he was at one of the fall camp practices, and he said that he just overheard Mo saying it, which just warmed my heart because, as you know, Mo has never played football before, and to hear him saying that he loves it, it means more than us saying it, I think.
It does. And I think if you listen to Bronson Kafusi mic'd up this week too, he was kind of saying the same thing. It's very relatable. We all love football.
Yes, absolutely. So speaking of Bronson Kafusi, let's get right into our first segment, which is going to be a Keeping Up with the Cougars. We have done a lot of Keeping Up with the Cougars lately, and rightly so, because we've got a lot of them in the NFL, and they have had a lot going on. So we told you they reported for training camp. They had their preseason game start up last week, so we wanted to touch on that.
So for the New England Patriots, Harvey Longy had 4 tackles.
One solo tackle.
Yep, Kai Van Noy did not play in that one, so...
Unsurprisingly, he's likely going to be a starter, so if you don't want to see your... Yeah, if your starters are playing in this game, well, then they're not your starters.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. For the Packers, right? BYU Packers.
Our BYU Packers.
Taysom had a nice debut at the kind of the end of that preseason game. He was 4 or 5 for 69 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 158.3 QBR.
To be honest, I was hoping that we would see more of him, but I really do think he made the most of his time.
I think so, too. She also mentioned he had 2 rushes for 14 yards and 1 sack.
Yes.
Not great, but...
Yes, and him and Jamal managed to lead the team in rush yards. Jamal also had 14 yards, but for him to only have been in for a few minutes and do that is pretty impressive. And to be honest, Jamal didn't have that many carries either, which I know there was some disappointment about. So hopefully we get to see even more from them. I will say I did see a tweet quoting the head coach, Mike McCarthy, saying that, you know, he liked what they saw from Taysom. Always good to get positive reinforcement from your coach, because that's a guy who's gonna.
I know. Good for Taysom too. I mean, who's not rooting for that guy?
Honestly.
Colby Pearson didn't play at all, so that's kind of a bummer. But we'll see if he gets another shot here. Cleveland Browns, Kai Nakua had 2 tackles, and Jordan Leslie had 2 receptions, 9 yards, 3 targets.
It's the most of any of our receivers that played in preseason games.
Right. So then we go over to the Baltimore Ravens, who have DeAndre Wesley, Bronson Kafusi, and Robertson Daniel.
They go in 2s or 3s.
Yep, and all of them saw some time. So DeAndre Wesley saw some time on the O-line. Bronson had 2 tackles, 1 sack, a tackle for loss, and 1 quarterback hurry-up. So pretty good for Bronson. I mean... Yeah, it's fun to see him actually get to play this time.
Yeah,
coming back from that injury.
And everyone made a big deal about how he got his quote-unquote first NFL sack. And, you know, we say Taysom got his first touchdown.
It is preseason. We get it.
Yes, we recognize that.
Still. Robertson Daniel had 1 tackle in their game. And then the last team that played on Thursday that had Cougars was Miami Dolphins. Mitch Matthews had 2 targets, and then John Denny saw some time on special teams. So... it's kind of fun to see that many Cougars playing on one night.
Yes, it really is. The only other Cougar that we needed to catch up with, this chart that Zach tweeted out is amazing. It only covers Thursday night, though. The Jets played, I don't know if it was just some other time over the weekend, and Algie Brown had 1 target, no receptions, no yards. So not great, but he got in there, so it's something.
For sure. So we'll keep you updated on what's happening as much as we can.
Yes, lots of preseason to come, and your NFL Week 1 game is, I think, September 7th, and it actually is the Chiefs against the Patriots, so we've got plenty of Cougars in that game. So look for more Keeping Up the Cougar segments to come.
All right, let's go into Talk It Down this week. Yes. We're going to start with basketball. There's not very much, but we got this tweet from Luke Worthington, which makes me laugh because it's like classic Luke to me. Required treatment for D. Nixon 33, that's Dalton Nixon, and we've been charged for violations of being too fire, which these are your 2 RMs. in there in the little
I just saw it
machine.
and I just laughed and I was like, Luke's back.
I know. It's good to have him back. I'm glad he's still got that sense of humor.
And we love this. These are some of our former Cougars. So Anson Winder did an Instagram. He said, great weekend with the boys, last supper before everyone heads out. So they must have done their basketball camp. So it was Chase, Brandon, and Charles who put on the basketball camp, and it looks like they're at La Jolla Groves for a, reunion dinner type thing. But we love seeing all of them. But we're always on the lookout for Chase.
That's true. It is nice that they're all still buddies.
I know. I love that. That's all we have for basketball, but it's better than the nothing that we had last week. So come on, basketball team. Give us something to work with here. Next, moving on to football. This is from Jerem Jordan, and there was very exciting news last week. The BYU Football with Kalani Sitake show that Greg Wrubell hosts. Usually it's in the President's Loge. You get tickets. It's first come, first serve. It's going to be on BYU TV. So in the past, it has been on BYU Radio. It has been on BYU Radio.
They started doing it on Facebook Live last year.
Yeah, and I watched it a lot on Facebook Live. I did too.
It was pretty good production.
Because it's really hard. It's really fun to make it out there, and they're still going to have a studio audience, and I would highly recommend going because you get to meet Coach, you get to meet the players.
Yeah.
But it will be really nice to be able to watch from home. So big things happening, with Greg being a part of the BYU team now. And I know that that's just really exciting news for people who are out of town, or now you can DVR it and watch it later. It's just kind of easier than watching on Facebook.
And cross your fingers they do this for basketball too.
And I don't think they're going to be doing it for Coordinator's Corner. We would have probably heard by now. But maybe eventually.
Are they still doing Coordinator's Corner?
Yes.
Okay.
Greg said that they are.
All right. Moving on from that, apparently Butch Pau'u has a brother. I don't know how we missed this.
How did we not know this?
A brother that plays on the football team.
Right up our alley.
And apparently he's good. Surprise.
Yeah.
So Jerem Jordan tweeted out, a name that is emerging among the wide receivers is Neil Pau'u, Butch's younger brother. Freshman, catches everything, sure-handed, number 84. He also smiles, which is a nice little throwback to Butch and his smile.
And their smiles do look similar to me, so that's exciting. He is taking Jonah Trineman's old number, which will hopefully carry some luck for him. And then we have the second tweet, which is from Rachel Pau'u, I think Butch and Neil's sister. Look how tall Butch's brother, Neil. I'm going to call him Neil. Look how tall he is. Anyway, she said, first family photo in 5 years where we are all together, and gosh, does it feel good. So I am guessing he just got back from a mission?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming he's a freshman. So I think the smiling thing runs in the family.
Last thing in Talk of the Town.
We saw this tweet from Jake Welch tweeting out this link to shophonorapparel.com, and this is some more BYU apparel you can buy. Doesn't look like it's officially licensed or anything, but the images and logos and all that are kind of clever, so we thought they looked pretty cool. We wanted to make sure that you all saw this.
There's one that says Vanquish the Foe, the site we're hosted on. We said we're going to get team shirts. There's some really, really slick looking designs.
Yep, it looks like t-shirts are about $25. Some of them come in different colors. They've also got long sleeve shirts
hats.
that are about $32. And then, hats.
So we're always on the lookout for new apparel. Unfortunately, this does appear to be men's apparel. We are always on the lookout for new ladies' apparel too, so
I'll buy it.
We have to buy it because there's nothing else to buy.
That's true.
This is basically our plea for help. Make us some women's clothes. But these are really, really nice.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Check it out. Okay, so like we said, we are 1 week away from being 1 week away, and we're kind of talked out a fall camp. As crazy as that sounds, we love fall camp. We love hearing everything, but at the same time, I feel like you just hit this point where you're talking about all this football that doesn't matter, and you're just like...
Right. I mean, you can only hear so much until you actually have a game to test it out in.
Right. And, you can hear, all these things every day, and it won't mean a thing when you're actually up against a real opponent. So, cool. I'm glad that Tanner is completing a lot of passes to Talon Shumway, but I really will only care if he's completing them when we're playing someone.
Playing an actual game.
Right. Yeah. You know what? He could not complete any passes of fall camp and complete them all during the season, and I would be happy as a clam. So, anyway, we hope you're with us there. So we thought that we would talk about kind of a preview of the season instead, because once it gets to next week, we're going to be doing a week by week kind of thing and not really looking ahead as much.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, we'll have a bye week in there somewhere, but pretty much it'll be talking about the game that happened and the game coming up, and that's about it.
Goodness. Coaching from the couch will be back. Yeah. Along the trail to fame and glory.
We'll have some guests on. It'll be good times.
Yes, but till then, so let's talk about what we've got coming this year. And we're going to kind of, just ballpark our season predictions. Nothing is set in stone. And hear us now. If we say we think we're going to lose a game, know that we hope we're not. We are not pessimists and cynical people over here.
But we're also not going to come out and say we're going to go 13-0. So,
but we hope we do.
Not our show.
So let's take a look at what we got. Who do we play next week?
All right,
2 weeks.
Obviously, we've got Portland State as kind of our warm-up game at home. That better be a win, and it better be a solid smashing game.
I don't know anyone who thinks that is a trap game. I think that Portland State has a 1% chance to win. Those odds are a lot better, I feel like, in football than they are in basketball. But at the same time, you never know.
Hopefully it'll be just a chance to get out all the kinks and get guys on the field actually playing against someone other than their teammates, and hope that we can keep some things in the playbook for LSU.
Best case scenario, it's a warm-up for the starters. They get to play for a very short amount of time. I hope we don't really see any of them in the second half. But it's a nice little week. What did we call this? Week 0 game.
Sure.
And then the big dogs come out. And we've talked a lot about this. We talked about it, I think, last week, because then we have 4 ranked opponents in a row.
And really, I think you've got 6, maybe 7 really tough games in a row. Now, you've got Utah State in there, which I'm not going to say is going to be the hardest game that you'll face.
Utah State always causes problems for us.
Yeah, anytime, especially you have to go up to Logan.
Yeah.
So looking at this schedule, let me just run down the list. So September 2nd, LSU. September 9th, Utah. September 16th, Wisconsin. September 29th, Utah State. October 6th, Boise State. October 14th, Mississippi State. October 21st, East Carolina. October 28th, San Jose State. November 4th, Fresno State. November 10th, UNLV. November 18th, UMass. And November 25th, Hawaii. Mm-hmm. So definitely top heavy on this schedule.
Very, very top heavy. We should also note 6 of those are home. 7 of them are away.
And since you've got that Hawaii game, you get an extra game. So we do have 13. So
in addition, I mean, I kind of count Portland State as an extra game too. I mean, 12 games is typical, but I mean, whoever you want to look at as extra game.
Anytime you get to travel to Hawaii, you get to add an extra game to your schedule. So that's kind of nice to have that warm-up game before LSU for sure.
Absolutely.
So looking at that schedule, what do you think? What's our win-loss total? Are there any games you think
I looked at this a little earlier. I'm really optimistic, and I have no reason to believe that this team isn't going to be as good as we think they are until they show me otherwise. So for me, LSU kind of keeps me up at night sometimes. Like literally, I'll lay in bed and I'm like, is LSU going to kill us? Even if it's an off year for LSU, they're an SEC team, and
LSU is big time. Exactly.
So an off year for them is still, they're going to be incredible. So yes, I do have nightmares that we're going to get beat like 67-0. I don't think we will. Well, yeah. My thing about BYU tends to play up to the level of their opponent. So I think, knock on wood, that we'll be able to hang with them, but I don't know if we'll be able to overcome LSU. So I kind of, in my mind, tentatively have that as possibly a loss. Utah, I think we're going to get them this year. I don't think I need to say too much else on that. The other loss that I think is Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is the most talented football team we're going to come across. They're big, and it's a reputable program. I would be pleasantly surprised if that's a win, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep my expectations low. But let's be honest, keeping 2 losses, I think, is not actually keeping expectations that low. So I might be disappointed still.
That would be 11-2. Like, that'd be...
It's not New Year's 6. It's not good. No way.
That might be a New Year's 6 consideration. 11-2 with this schedule, it might be.
But with the losses, if the losses were, I don't know.
If those 2 teams are top 10, which they could be.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
And it depends on what everyone else does, of course. Personally, I think the only way we even get considered for New Year's Six is undefeated. I really think it is.
That would be amazing.
And that would be, you know what? But sometimes you have those seasons, like that one time we were 4-0. We're not going to talk about it. Anyway, what do you think?
Oh boy. So I'm not quite that optimistic.
Usually you're the optimistic one.
I know.
It's the off season. I'll be more cynical in a few weeks.
That's true. Okay, so looking at this, I agree with you. I think LSU and Wisconsin are going to be very tough to win. LSU on the road, I know it's neutral, but it's still LSU. That one does scare me a little bit. Now, you have to remember, all these guys that were coming back from last year's team did not have a blowout loss all season. Every loss was close. So I'm really hoping we can still keep these games close and still be in it. But
if we stay close with LSU, that's a victory.
Or Wisconsin?
Or Wisconsin, seriously. But you're saying LSU, Wisconsin, you're with me.
Yeah.
All right.
So then I look at your next three, Utah, Boise State, Utah State, those three. I think we lose either Utah or Boise State. I don't know which one, but I mean, obviously if we win both of those games, my season is great. The realist in me says we're not winning both of those games. Please prove me wrong.
So I would be so happy to be wrong. 3 losses now.
I'm up to 3 losses, and I think we might have a fourth. So looking at the schedule again, so when you go through teams like LSU, Utah, Wisconsin, Boise State in your first month, I don't know how well we get out with injuries and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at traveling to Mississippi State and then East Carolina back to back. And I feel like either one of those could be your trap game and that we drop one of those two.
You know what? I don't even know if it's fair to call Mississippi State a trap game because think about it. They came here last year and they gave us double overtime trouble.
They sure did.
You know what's funny is we're talking about LSU and we're saying that LSU is an SEC team with an off year. Listen, Mississippi State's one of the worst teams in the SEC, and they gave us all that we could handle.
That game was so desperate. We needed that win so bad, and luckily we pulled it out in double overtime.
We did. But, I mean, it was close. So, you know what? They're going to be mad about that. That probably did not sit well with them, losing it to double overtime to us. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mississippi State was A, out for vengeance, and B, a better team this year than they were last year.
Yeah, and like I said, you're coming off of a bunch of tough games in a row, including Boise State the week before, so...
Gosh, I'm tempted to add that to my loss column, but I'm not going to. I'm going to have faith. But you know what? That's a problem. And you're right. Even if we do manage to win Mississippi State, then you're battered and you're tired and you're still on the road.
Going all the way to the East Coast, North Carolina, to play East Carolina. So, yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about 4 losses, which I know some people won't be happy with. 10 wins would be great.
Yeah.
But I'm looking probably at 9-4. And I'll still be
9 and 4, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. But if I can pick any of those to be a win, it's got to be Utah and Boise State. I want both of those wins.
Yeah.
The others I can live with. Maybe not those two.
One thing I did want to talk about before we end the show, there's been some rumors swirling around. I don't want to address any by name per se, but fall camp's winding down. Your season's getting ready to start. We just want to let you know, keep your eyes and ears out because there are going to, it's not if, it's when there are going to be honor code violations, injuries out of camp that you think that you have a handle on, but you don't, and just changes. So the team that you have in your head
might not be the team on the field.
Be prepared for that to change. And, hashtag sources. That's why we're not going to say anything. We're not going to feed into any of these rumors.
Everyone will feel like the sky is falling and all of that. But
so we're just telling you to brace yourself for the sky to fall because it will.
I feel like more than a lot of years we have depth. So even though we've heard some of these rumors, I still think we're going to be pretty
positive.
Good.
So that is what we have. We will tweet out a poll and give us your feedback. Tell us what you think are trap games, which of those big games you think we're going to win. We would love to talk about that with you guys. So BYU 50, continuing this week. We are in week 7. We are really winding down. By the end of this week, we will be in the T's. So we've got Pennsylvania today, Rhode Island Wednesday, South Carolina Thursday, South Dakota Friday, Tennessee and Texas on Saturday. I know the Oregon one was yesterday. It took 6 minutes for someone to find it, so the competition is still tough.
Other thing, Cougar kickoff is today, so that is at the field west of the IPF, 6 to 8:30 p.m. And then also the Cougar sale is at the indoor practice facility starting at 5. And I've gone in the past. There's really good stuff
$20
there.
cleats. Like, it's kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. If you aren't a Cougar Club member, it's kind of picked off by the time that you're able to get in as the public. But I've still got some really good t-shirts. So it's half an hour earlier if you are a Cougar Club member. So 5:30 for the Cougar kickoff, and the Cougar sale would be 4:30. But go hang out with the team. So that'll be really fun.
And then the open scrimmage is at LES this Thursday, August 17th at 10 a.m.
We were wrong.
Yeah, well, they've switched over practice to being in the morning.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
Because that's what they'll be doing during the season. So, yeah, if you can get off work or whatever, 10 a.m. Thursday morning.
Yeah, it's going to be way less probably crowded than it was. So, hey, I'll get a good seat. I don't have to work on Thursday. So, 10 a.m., gates open at 9:30. They'll be selling clothes. They'll be selling concessions. So, come, let us know if you're coming, and we'll try and say hi.
For sure. We are brought to you this week by bacon, which we know Jamal Williams loves.
We feel you, Jamal. We don't discriminate against bacon either. And our second sponsor is 87, the number, or 87%, let's go with. So there was this really funny tweet from Zach Bloxham with a picture saying that Hillary Clinton had an 87% chance to win the election, and then a picture of the bottom line on ESPN saying that LSU has an 87% chance to win. So take it for what you will. But we mostly just
13% chance could be pretty strong. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, you always stay loyal to the white and blue. For Jess, I'm Mary. We will see you next week when we have a game.
Yay.